The following program is a production of WMFE, Orlando, Melbourne, Daytona Beach.
Coming up on The Arts Connection.
Seaside Music Theater sings away the summer with high hopes of fixing its economic woes. We visit them to find out if it's working. Plus, in Orlando, the play's the thing, but penny pinching sometimes means fewer cast members. And the genie fulfills the wishes of many at the Plaza Theatre in downtown Orlando. All that and more just ahead on The Arts Connection.
The Arts Connection is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to WMFE from viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to The Arts Connection, your program about all things creative here in Central Florida. I'm Secily Wilson and we're joining you from the Plaza Theatre in Orlando. It just opened its 2008-2009 season with Disney's Aladdin Jr., complete with a big blue genie which promises to make wishes come true, of course. In just a bit, we're going to visit with theater managers to learn more about Aladdin and the coming season and also get their thoughts on how the performing arts scene is faring in this economy. Now, that's the topic we explored with several performing arts groups for our program, including Seaside Music Theater in Daytona Beach. It's Central Florida's oldest professional theater company, but it's struggling. Recently, Seaside canceled its summer performances and instead opted to raise money to try and stay afloat. Kristen Kinney has more.
Seaside Music Theater has been music to the ears in Daytona Beach for more than 30 years. But lately, it's had a hard time hitting a high note. Since the loss of a major sponsor, Seaside has been forced to cancel its entire summer season. That's 5 shows gone completely.
In the 31 years that Seaside Music Theater has been alive, we have never canceled a performance. We have never backed out on our audience, and this was an extreme circumstance.
Lester Malizia has been the theater's director since its humble beginnings in 1981. The theater is his life, and he's doing everything he can to keep it afloat and steer it through its worst financial crisis ever.
If I had any other choice, this would not be the choice I would have taken.
So here's how it breaks down. The Daytona Beach News Journal is in a lawsuit with Cox Enterprises of Atlanta, and until that lawsuit is settled, Seaside is left without a sponsor. It all started when the News Journal's then publisher, the late Tippin Davidson, gave millions to Daytona's News Journal Center, which is home to Seaside Music Theater. Parent company Cox Enterprises sued, claiming Davidson donated the money without their consent. Their lawsuit meant all the paper's contributions to the arts were canceled. Seaside isn't the only group suffering, but the effect on them has been dramatic. Their annual budget has almost halved.
We have got to replace that money. Or at least function in a different culture.
One new and more cost-effective way to function is to hold a series of benefit performances where they shed the costumes and the set and just have the music.
And dreams were made and used and wasted.
And that's what they've been doing since a midsummer concert version of Les Miserables.
I found her wandering in the woods, this little child, I found her trembling in the shadows.
It makes me very disappointed that we can't put the energy and the focus and the time and the creativity into making the whole production. But just singing this music is so fantastic.
Take Cosette away.
Michael Sean Lewis might ring a bell to some. He was last seen on Broadway as Raoul in The Phantom of the Opera, and last seen here on the Seaside stage just a year ago as Guido in 9. But he's also one of many cast and crew members who put his career on hold for the sake of this Daytona Beach theater.
All of us are donating our time. Everybody's sort of rallying together to save something that we know is a very important artistic voice.
A voice that impacts the Daytona Beach economy to the tune of about $24 million a year, according to the American Alliance for the Arts.
Right now, there are, because of the cancellation of our summer season, there are 30,000 to 40,000 people who will not be in this theater, 250 people who are in residence with us every summer as artists, musicians, technicians, designers, painters, carpenters, the whole range of people who will not be living in Daytona.
And Seaside supporters are anxious to make sure it isn't a permanent loss, which would hurt not only the local economy, but also schools accustomed to having a cultural outlet for their students.
There would be hundreds of students in Volusia and Flagler County who would not be exposed to any artistic training.
I've seen many theaters across the country. I've worked in many theaters across Europe. I've worked in a number of theaters in New York. And there are few opportunities in life to have this kind of artistic, creative outlet. And Seaside definitely has always been that. And it would be a tragedy to lose it in a place like Daytona.
And it's the tragic score from Les Mis that brought a hopeful note to Seaside this summer.
For our first performance, they stood up, gave it a standing ovation at the end of the first act. And at the end of the second act last night, we got a 10-minute standing ovation. And people were yelling, "Thank you," to the cast, and talking to me about how much they miss us and how much they want us to be here.
The Les Mis concert alone took in around $20,000, most of it going back into the theater and to refund prior season ticket holders. But will these fundraiser concerts be enough to keep Seaside from completely going dark?
The stop is the continuing support. I can't believe that this community would let this artistic organization die.
I know the meaning of those 19 years, a slave of the law.
Seaside tells us they're still adding up the numbers from their most recent fundraiser last weekend. That event called Daytona's Gotta Dance. But Seaside tells us it doesn't have a final handle on those numbers, nor on how many season ticket holders have gotten their money back. It tells us their 20-person staff is now down to just 4, and they hope to have more music-only fundraisers this fall. But at this time, they tell us no fall performance season is scheduled, so still struggling, but continuing to look for creative solutions. We're inside the Plaza Theatre here in Orlando, and we're going to be speaking to them in just a few moments. And even here in Orlando, performing arts groups are keeping an eye on shrinking dollars. But the question for many smaller groups is about finding and keeping affordable spaces and cutting back productions to fit that smaller budget.
The sluggish economy hasn't been kind to the city of Orlando or to the arts groups here. Like Mad Cow Theater, even they are feeling the pinch. General Manager Mitzi Maxwell.
Every arts organization in this area and many other areas are looking to tighten our belts a little bit and look for ways to economize.
Mad Cow Artistic Director Alan Brune agrees the pinched budgets have required some creativity.
Look at, is this a 3-set show? Maybe we should do a 2-set show. The kind of productions we do. For example, how much scenery, what kinds of costumes, what are those technical elements that may cost a little bit more. So we need to be, again, prudent.
And the biggest expense for any artist or group, rent. Over at SAC Comedy Lab, David Russell knows it's no laughing matter.
If space was available, free or very low cost, a lot more theater companies would be able to flourish. Most leases and places that you can rent, not just downtown, but anywhere, they take such a big chunk out of the theater's budget that it soon becomes impossible to do that. So theaters need that kind of subsidy.
Subsidies and support from organizations like a city-backed initiative called the Downtown Arts District, or DAD for short.
It's a great acronym, because it's like I have to go ask Dad for money.
Russell says the Downtown Arts District has been a great advocate for SAC, which fits with DAD's specific mission to encourage arts and culture in downtown Orlando. DAD offers practical help like cheap rent. Cassie Turchek is executive director.
We need funding more today than we've ever needed it. I mean, just with the economy the way it is. We hope people see the value in what the arts bring. People that supported an arts group last year, maybe they can't afford to support it this year. So, and then with all, the property tax cuts, there's so many things that have happened to affect everybody's bottom line. That's really the concern for me.
The concern for arts groups, making ends meet. Over at Mad Cow Theater, that means cutting actors. Brune says last year they cast 89 roles. This year, fewer than 60.
Most of the folks who work with us and for us are are not looking to Mad Cow for their livelihoods. All of them work elsewhere. Many of them work in the theme park environment, and they are really looking for an opportunity, an outlet to do a different kind of work. So it's less about the money here than it is about the opportunity to develop your craft.
But it's all about the money for city leaders. Frank Billingsley is with the City of Orlando. He says Mayor Dyer has made arts a priority in his administration, not simply in funding the downtown arts district.
We currently fund over $1 million toward arts organizations in our city. We've funded to the tune of about $500,000 the new city arts factory downtown, which brings a new performance space to downtown. Another example is that we help subsidize the rent of Mad Cow Theater, which is an award-winning theater that we love in the heart of downtown Orlando. Certainly we've made a big leap in funding for the new Performing Arts Center.
The new Performing Arts Center, which opens in 2012, might be big news for Orlando, but the smaller groups say it won't be much use to them.
When we talk about the Performing Arts Center and the groups coming in to use that, that's not us. That's not Mad Cow. We're a locally based, smaller organization, theatrical organization, and we need space that we can afford.
We may do a project or two there. Our understanding of the space is that it's going to be used by many people, particularly the small 300-seat theater. But home to us means 365 days a year, and that's really not what the Performing Arts Center, that's not what their mission is. Their mission is to provide some space to a lot of people.
It's Turchek's mission to help arts groups like Mad Cow and Sat Comedy Lab to find a place to call home.
What the Downtown Arts District's role in all of that is to try and secure space for arts groups to be able to be housed in downtown, to help them be able to afford space and secure space, and really to publicize that there is an arts district and it is alive and it is well.
One big part of that has been the City Arts Factory, an attempt to help a lot of groups at once at an affordable price. The factory was built and paid for in 2006 by private donations and contractors.
We are fully equipped for film, for theater, for vocal performances, all of those. So what we tried to do was create a space for a lot of groups who don't perform 365 days a year, don't have a space, and don't need one permanently, but just during their seasons.
The bottom line, more space and more money are needed, and Orlando's artistic community is desperately trying to find new sources for both, now more than ever.
But the truth is, arts are like any other organization right now. Everyone is in need of funding. Everyone is seeing cuts from the economy. The Downtown Arts District is going to continue to partner with the city, continue to partner with our donors, continue to partner with private developers like Yola Capital, everybody, in order to make sure that obviously they don't starve, to keep that funding going. We're not ready to give up by any stretch of the imagination.
They say they're going to keep plugging along and finding creative ways of generating the dollars they need.
As for Orlando's new Downtown Performing Arts Center, the plans will be unveiled next week. In fact, WMFE News is following that and has a story coming up in this week. That's right after our program. Here's a preview with Brittany Shane.
As design plans are revealed for Orlando's new Performing Arts Center, even the largest local arts groups are experiencing a form of sticker shock. One group is even preparing to quadruple its budget. We talked to that group and others about the new center's impact on the arts community. I'm Brittany Shane. Join us for that and more on WMFE's This Week.
Certainly going to be a very informative report, so I know you'll want to tune in to This Week, coming up right after our program. Well, again, we're here at the Plaza Theatre in Orlando, and it's been a fixture here since 1963. It started out as a movie theater, and for the past 6 years, it's been operating as a performing arts center. Joining me now is the general manager, Russell Daybald. And Russell, thank you for hosting us today.
Sure.
Now, you look a little young to be a GM. How did you get into all of this?
Well, my degree was motion picture and theater production out of the University of Miami, and moved to Orlando here, was working in sales, and really wanted an opportunity to earn my degree because I wasn't working in the entertainment industry. So the theater was purchased by a businessman out in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area, and I called him up. It was just another cold call for me at that time, and so I called him up and asked for an opportunity, and here we are 6 years later, part owner and having a lot of fun.
You and your partner, actually.
That's right, Mason Simmons, who's my business partner here. Both of us have been here since the very beginning. We now have about 28 part-time employees, and like I said, we just have a great time. It's a really great gig.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of looks, your outlook on this is a little different as well from other performing arts venues in that you're not a non-profit organization. How is the Plaza Theatre faring in this really tough economy?
Sure. You know, we are a for-profit theater. Only 2% of theaters in the country are like that. You know, we don't get grants, we don't get funding, so we really have to treat it more like a business and less like a performing arts center. Treating each individual show as its own, entity, and doing what we can to keep the cost responsible. We try and keep our ticket prices responsible as well, so that the families in and around Orlando can still come out and have a good time with us.
I know it's going to be really exciting because you opened up your season with Aladdin Jr. How has the response been for this production?
It's been absolutely fabulous. When we sat down and watched the show the opening night, the production value was fabulous. The 21 young performers that we put together are some of the best that Central Florida has to offer. And we coupled them together with Scott Damian, who's played the genie in several other productions of Aladdin around the country and at Disney in California.
We got a chance to see a bit of your rehearsal and see Aladdin and Jasmine in action. How does that all come together?
It's great. The actors have been phenomenal to work with throughout rehearsals. Aladdin's played by Michael Navarro and Jasmine by Jenna Canego, and they are just absolutely fabulous. The carpet flies because, well, Aladdin has a lamp, and inside the lamp there's a genie, and that's all I can tell you without seeing the show.
Is that really how it works?
That's all I can tell you without seeing the show.
All right, well, what you can tell us is you found a unique way to promote Aladdin. Tell us more about that.
Sure. One of the things that we did with Aladdin, and we've done with a few productions, is we've done a Name Your Own Price night, which has been great in this economy, just to provide people an opportunity to still be entertained, but to pay what they can pay. What's interesting is that we've noticed in doing that Name Your Own Price, we still get about 65 to 70% of our face value of the ticket price.
And again, Aladdin is here for one more weekend?
That's right. This coming weekend's the last shows, Friday night, 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday, and tickets can be purchased through our website.
All right. Well, thank you again, Russell, for hosting us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. For more information about tickets and the Plaza Theatre's upcoming season, check the links at our website. One person who has touched pretty much all the arts in Central Florida is Margot Knight. She's at the helm of an organization called United Arts, which for 20 years has raised money in support of the arts. We go behind the scenes to take a look at Knight's passion for the arts. Mention the name Margot Knight, and this is typically the response she'll get.
Champion for the arts. Easy. She is what helps keep us going here in Orlando.
Champion for the arts, indeed. Jean Columbus, executive director of the Orlando Repertory Theater, says Margot Knight is a one-woman powerhouse in Central Florida's art world.
I don't know that our Central Florida community truly understands the impact that this one person can change a community, and Margot Knight has changed this community.
She represents all the arts in Central Florida and all the mediums equally, so be it theater, dance, visual art, music. She speaks about all of them with passion, and she speaks about all of them with great knowledge.
We caught up with Margot on the set of her monthly Orange TV talk show called Participate the Cultural Advantage, for a little one-on-one airtime. But it's another role that really keeps Knight busy. Now, if you didn't know, she is the mover and shaker behind an organization called United Arts of Central Florida. It raises money for arts groups across the region, and since it started in 1989, it's handed out over $90 million.
I'm just trying to keep it going. I mean, it was created by a very forward-thinking group of corporations. About almost 20 years ago, we'll be celebrating 20 years next year. And Mayor Bill Frederick, former mayor of the city of Orlando, who really looked around the country and said, what can we do to stabilize the cultural community, because we want Orlando to be an international city.
And in spite of the challenges of the 2008 economy, many say Knight has taken United Arts to a whole new level since joining the group as its executive director in 2001.
That consistency of her in that position and those of us in administrative positions that have been here for a while has really helped us start to identify who we are and what we do.
She's brought an understanding of the true value of the arts to the community, so it's not just that good feeling you get when you go out to see a performance and you enjoy it, but she's brought that business sense to it.
Knight has increased funding for the United Arts Individual Artist Program by creating a way to give more money to more artists, like Orlando's Brian Feldman.
Brian Feldman, the performance artist here in town, who did the leaping thing on Leap Day. People like him, he's going to do a whole grant where he's going to have a 24-hour phone booth marathon.
And Orlando sculptor Mindy Colton.
She does all of her work in aluminum now, and a small grant from us helped her learn how to work better in bronze, so those magnificent horses that she creates can now be done in a different medium.
Knight has also helped create the Red Chair Project, an online one-stop shop to finding out about everything cultural going on in Central Florida. It's a collaborative marketing effort that benefits everyone in the artistic community.
People all working together and having a result that no individual organization could ever hope to achieve in terms of driving what we call butts and seats. I'm going to be going on the road shows with the Convention and Visitors Bureau to meeting planners in New York and Chicago and DC to say, when you come to Orlando, the new branding is where creative minds gather. Here are some of the things that your folks can do.
And now Knight's own creative mind is set on a new multi-million-dollar project for Orlando, the Downtown Performing Arts Center, due to open in 2012. And United Arts has a vested interest in making sure all the seats are filled.
Our community is going to be asked to step up philanthropically in a way they never have, because we've created a new cultural institution in the Performing Arts Center that's twice as big as any other cultural institution in the region.
Her desire is to create a broad cultural base so the Central Florida community can express itself.
Government and individuals and foundations and corporations all work together in a very cost-effective way to provide support for the arts, to create a sense of place. Here's who we are, and here's what we want to say about ourselves through song, through dance, through visual art.
But there's no less love for traditional organizations like Orlando's ballet, opera, and Philharmonic.
Because they're the cornerstone. The opera and the ballet are absolutely dependent on the health of the Philharmonic. Their fates are all entangled.
It must have been fate that led Margot to the arts.
I started out in life wanting to be a high school history teacher, and I forgot to learn how to coach football. So when I didn't get a teaching job teaching history, I fell back on my acting. I did the New York thing, I was in outdoor drama, but I literally hated waiting for other people to give me work. So I was able over time to combine my love for history and art.
Her love for the arts is clear. She even turned her birthday party into a wedding of the century, marrying the business community with the arts community, raising thousands of dollars for the arts. And if she's not hosting an event, she's attending one.
I have to admit that I absolutely will always love theater. And I try to go to every group that we fund at least once every 2 years, and the big folks I try to go to. I counted it up once and it was kind of frightening how many nights I'm out just experiencing the product, because how can I do my job if I don't see the work?
And at the end of the day, when the camera stopped rolling and her work is done, Margot wants her reputation to speak for itself.
I want to be somebody who makes a difference and makes the arts stronger.
Knight says, unfortunately, public funding cuts have reduced grants by 12%, but the good news, she says, private funding actually increased by 1% this year. Well, we still have just enough time to find out what's going on around Central Florida. Let's take a look.
The Mad Cow Theater in downtown Orlando presents Major Barbara, the controversial George Bernard Shaw play, billed as a twisted comedy. It runs through August 24th, so give them a call at 407-297-8788 for more information. And check out Art in the Garden 7 at Janine Taylor Folk Art in Sanford through August 24th. It's the place for art collectors to enjoy an indoor folk art show that captures the outdoor garden. Visit jtfolkart.com for more information. And on Monday, August 18th at 7 p.m., the Orlando Philharmonic shakes things up as it continues the Sounds of Summer series with good vibrations. You know, that's all about percussion. Call 407-770-0071 or visit orlandophil.org for more information. Want more? Visit WMFE.org/arts for links to all these events and just send us your ideas there too.
Well, that wraps it for us here at the Plaza Theatre. We certainly hope you have enjoyed our program.
Please listen up for us on the radio. That's 90.7 FM for the Arts Connection Minute, weekdays at 9:59 a.m. And don't forget to check us out on the web. You can send us your ideas there. Check out our podcast and our blog, as well as get information for the stories you've just seen, along with the links to the Red Chair Project with its calendar of upcoming events.
Well, I'm off on my magic carpet ride. So again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Please join me next Thursday night at 8 when we join students discovering dance from around the world.
We want to make sure that if you're going to be a part of this program, we can see measurable difference.
Plus, meet the people behind a prestigious international piano competition coming to Orlando. All that and more next Thursday at 8, right here on WMFE TV.